champion in 2 weight classes. The one and only 4-time world champion in the Royal Division. The only undisputed world champion in 2 weight classes. The one and only 4-time world champion in the Royal Division. The only one who beat Tyson twice. And defeated Riddick Bowe.
I tell you, this is behind this stuff.
In 30 years at the forefront, Evander Holyfield forever engraved his name among the greatest figures in the history of the ring. In the mid-80s, the chiseled Olympian burst into the cruiserweight division, becoming the first undisputed champion. Later, he moved up to heavyweight, disregarding the size disadvantage, and once again captured all the major belts. This is a journey of a man who battled during the uncompromising era of boxing. From the early steps to the status of a living legend in the realm of fisticuffs.
Look at this wall from Holyfield, who lands a big left and
This might be the bullet. Evander was born in 1962 in the small town of Atmore, Alabama, and was the youngest of 8 children. He didn't know his father and was raised by a single mom who worked at a local diner. When he turned 4, the family moved to Atlanta in search of a better life, settling on the outskirts of the city. Upon the advice of his relatives, Holyfield started attending his children's sports club. It was here that he punched the bag for the first time. The newcomer came under the guidance of a local coach, Carter Morgan. The elderly mentor not only introduced the boy to the basics of the sweet science and provided the necessary equipment, but also inspired him to achieve extraordinary heights. He was the first to tell the slender boy that one day he would become a world champion.
He never ask too many questions. If you want to know how to do something, you watch and you pay attention, but don't ask any questions. You ask questions. You ain't smart enough to ask questions yet. So I would learn by watching and just hear.
In the early 80s, Holyfield started competing in amateur tournaments. 3 years later, this handsome young man was among the top 5 light heavyweights in the country, joining the national team and entered the race for a spot in the Olympics. Alongside boxing, Evander worked full-time at an airport in planes. He dedicated himself entirely to the sport only after receiving a coveted invitation to the Olympics. Before leaving, 20-year-old Holyfield gave his former colleagues a last piece of advice.
And I told them, I said, look, get my autograph now. So you probably gonna have to wait in line to get it later. Like that. And they said, don't nobody want your autograph. I said, you need to get my autograph now.
Having made the U.S. team, Evander headed to the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Always light on his feet, Holyfield outclassed his opposition with ease. Winning exclusively by knockout.
This may be it.
He was the only guy in the bracket and never troubled the judges.
with that beautiful left.
In the semifinals, Evander faced an opponent from New Zealand. He was firmly in the driver's seat when a heart-rending incident took place at the end of the second round. Holyfield was throwing a combo and didn't have time to react to call for a break.
Automatic disqualification.
But the referee didn't bother with details and disqualified.
25.
Evander was awarded with just a bronze medal. As a sign of respect, the gold medalist from Yugoslavia, Anton Djokovic, invited Holyfield to join him on the top step of the podium.
One of the most remarkable gestures.
It must be heartbroken, of course. Because that really hurt. But, all my life, I had incidents like that, where that I felt that I didn't get the decision. So that was something that I was accustomed to. But I always knew that it wasn't the end of the rainbow. I always felt that, there's always something special happens after an incident like that if you just keep it right from the
After the Olympics, the 22-year-old fighter decided to go pro. Holyfield teamed up with trainer Lou Duva, who became his main companion on the path to the top. From the moment he entered the cruiserweight division, which had a limit of 190 pounds at the time, Evander stood out with flawless distance management due to incredible footwork.
Referee is
And sharp instincts on the inside.
that sounds good. And then Holyfield works on the back to the head, comes in with the left hand. Holyfield comes in with the right. He gets the first one, but connected on the second. And Rivera goes down.
However, the Holyfield style resulted in a seamless execution of lengthy combinations.
The referee should stop it at this point because this is the came out.
The 17-3 Anthony Davis was the first to test the 23-year-old prospect's chin.
Holyfield shaking a little bit. His eyes look clear to the right hand.
Holyfield recovered quickly and was with a pull counter at the end of the round. Forcing him to keep his consciousness until the saving bell. In the third, Evander placed a solid 1-2 and punished every mistake from then on. Even in the thick of things, he was poised, avoiding unnecessary damage.
In the fourth round, that was a wicked combination. So many fans and
In his ninth bout, Holyfield squared off against the recent title challenger, Shisanda Moody. Evander wasn't going to make it a long night. And after establishing the range, he brought out the heavy artillery.
a couple of jams with a good right hand and another right hand. Scoring.
A blitzing 1-2,
Holyfield tries to come in with a right,
and Holyfield launches into a relentless assault with a single survivor.
the right hand. And Moody in danger. Moody absorbing another right hand.
He's not the kind of fighter traditionally who's able to come in with one punch. You have to put punches together like Holyfield has done right there, and this fight is over.
The referee was clearly late to step in, costing Moody a couple of years of his career.
The referee moves in here, maybe it's much late.
In the early years stage, Evander earned the nickname the Real Deal, emphasizing how good he was at his craft. In the spring of 1986, with a record of 11-0, shortly before turning 24, Evander faced WBA pro Dwight Cowie. Dubbed the Buzzsaw, the 5'7" tall veteran had no trepidation about taking on giants. He was riding a streak of 7 consecutive wins at the time, and had more knockouts than the challenger had fights. In the first 2 rounds, Holyfield was bouncing like a lightning and lunging in with lightning speed.
Defensive shell.
Susan Cowie kept him honest
He started to get pounded, and that has to hurt his reflex.
and tried to land it overhand repeatedly.
There was one moment that I was waiting for.
Still, the challenger was sharper in where he was going.
Power.
But his money punches.
Starting from the third stretch, Veteran Dwight would allow the young counterpart to blow his wad. Only to seize seize the initiative afterward.
The key to the fight is whether he wants to stand. Because he's going to get
This tactic paid dividends.
Stamina was a big problem with him, and he is very, very confident.
And a less springy Holyfield realized that he was facing no paper champion.
He is relentless. Right combination again. Boy, that combo has worked well for Holyfield. And now he's right left coming back from Cowley.
But Cowie lost respect for his opponent's power
And they can get reckless.
and walked forward smiling.
Right now, Van is just backing all over the ring.
The further the bout went, the murkier things looked for the challenger.
Fight progressed. He certainly did when he won the title. He has taken numerous shots. A right left combo to Holyfield. And he's going again.
Dwight was teeing off,
This is just trick.
but Evander held his own in the exchanges.
He's winning the fight. Left for his own.
At the midpoint, the pattern of the fight stayed the same. The champion made it a phone booth brawl, stabbing the enemy from the hot-headed prospect,
And here's Holyfield.
and then unloading on a stationary target.
Talking about it. Cowley got under the elbow.
Only after the eighth did Coach Lee Duva manage to get his protege back on track. Holyfield got the fight going,
Vander's using the jab now.
and added a step-back 1-2.
And he's holding Dwight off with his hand. Leaning in with a good right hand.
He utilized a cough move and worked predominantly with his lead hand,
Still on his toes. And in this round, using the jab much more.
which allowed him to win a few rounds.
Once again, Evander starts very fast.
Finding a second win, Evander was bouncing again,
So far in this fight, he scores well. Pretty slow, dropping down lower than I remember in the fight.
and unloading in close quarters.
A vicious combination of punches. They go around to the coach of Cowley.
However, what landed this showdown in the history books was the 13th and subsequent rounds, something you don't see in modern boxing.
And Holyfield, as he has, teeing off on the head of Cowley. Cowley trying to
Despite absorbing over 500 punches, Cowie refused to back down.
combination. Turn to the chin of Cowley. Small. His glove to drop.
And even rallied in the final stretch.
All the time. He's trying to knock your head off all the time. And you're asking right on to Warren Holyfield to hold him behind the head. Cowley knows a good left hook there.
The battle between the two warriors of the 80s ended at a high pace.
A big right that really stunned Cowley. He stuttered. But now look at it. He has to knock him out. I think he might have got the way to get him to come in right up there with the back up.
Evander snatched the victory by split decision and claimed the world title just a year and a half after going pro. Many had questioned his cardio leading up to the bout, but he showed that he could go 15 grueling rounds. The two ring gladiators threw an unfathomable 2,308 punches. The Ring magazine would later call this collision the fight of the decade at cruiserweight and one of the greatest in history.
I mean, the fight was a tough fight, and I didn't think about winning. Only thing I was saying in my mind, Lord, I just thank you for letting me make 15 rounds. It didn't make no difference who won the fight. I lost 15 pounds. I felt tough. And you know, for about 4 months, I felt good.
In his first defense, Evander went up against Henry Tillman, an Olympic champion at heavyweight who he had shared a room with back in 1960. With a clear finish in mind, the real deal made the old friend polish the ring surface to a shine. Tillman kept getting up, but Holyfield showed no mercy inside the ring. The right hook and the left hook became the highlights of the night. 3 3 months down the line, Evander set his sights on the IBF belt and challenged Parkey, who clearly came in with a tricky ploy. Holyfield ignored the dirty blows.
Opening up the left, only Benny's proposition to get.
The right foot, followed by a body kick. Parkey fought back vehemently.
Effort to get away.
Damage kept piling up.
Right back and connected
In the third round, Fender let the sledgehammers fly, making the foe reconsider his approach.
Holyfield again, shaking Parkey.
When the referee allowed the fight to continue, Parkey embarked on a quest to discover his fifth corner. When he was at the edge of the abyss, Holyfield gave him the last push with a clean 1-2. After adding more titles to his collection and successfully defending them, Evander rematched Dwight Khalid.
Here we go, round one.
Considering their first encounter, he wanted to avoid another war of attrition.
Close to throw, let's take a shot at right. Holyfield pressing the attack.
Calm and collected, Holyfield intercepted the enemy's attacks.
Years to catch the title.
While protecting himself with a crossguard. Unable to keep up with the champion, Khalid utilized questionable tactics. Maintaining composure in the fourth round, Holyfield delivered a series of shots
Not his style.
and followed up with a tight hook.
In that fight, Holyfield ran out of gas.
A straight right down the pipe finished the job.
Now Khalid trying to
Holyfield moved back masterfully, parried the second punch with his right, and used it to come out of the cage on top.
down he goes again.
The progress shown in all aspects of the boxing craft was evident. In the spring of 1988, Holyfield went after the Middleweight. The WBC belt belonged to one of the best heavyweights in history, Carlos De Leon, who had recaptured the throne 3 times.
In the first round,
The Puerto Rican machine was known for his hand speed and elusive style.
really nailed it. And here we go.
De Leon initiated a shootout from the top.
Championship. Evander Holyfield.
Holyfield took on the role of the aggressor, pushing forward constantly.
Champion.
The antagonist initially defended himself reasonably well,
Seconds, round one.
but lingered on the ropes more and more often.
Holyfield landing with rights and lefts. Little left by De Leon. He's got to get off those ropes. Holyfield with a flurry.
And eventually lost in the second round.
Big trouble with De Leon. A blistering attack by Evander Holyfield.
Evander seized the momentum completely, tirelessly uncorking heavy combinations.
Outside jab. And caught his surprise. About who indeed is Mike Tyson a flurry. Ball still looking up. That right hand is another leg.
After 21 minutes of constant pressure, he finally shattered the Leon. And opened fire from all kinds of rifles. The saving of Carlos from Parkinson's was in the referee's hands. By the age of 25, Holyfield had captured all 3 major titles, becoming the first ever undisputed champion in cruiserweight. Riding the wave of triumph, talks began about moving up to the Royal Division, particularly for a potential showdown with the undefeated tyrant, Mike Tyson, who was in the crowd that night.
Is Holyfield ready for Mike Tyson?
He's a good fighter.
Always ready for the challenge, Holyfield made the decision to move up to heavyweight. With the weight limits of his natural weight class at just 190 pounds, Evander figured he should add muscle to compete against the big boys. He brought in the legendary bodybuilder, multiple-time Mr. Olympia, Lee Haney. Weighing in at 200 pounds for his
I know you brought Lee Haney in. Wow, that's
1988,
dope.
Holyfield didn't feel much of a difference facing the formidable contender, James Tillis. The real deal was just as quick. And just as destructive. By December, he had bulked up to 210 and forced former champion Pinklin Thomas to surrender. After a struggle, Evander was stopping as a big champion Tyson, but first had to go through the WBC Continental Belt Holder, Michael Dokes. Nicknamed Dynamite, Dokes had 37 wins and only 1 loss, justifying every letter of his monster. Following the teachings of the giant, Holyfield was floating and stinging.
It was 3.5.
Whenever he got lazy though, Dokes took advantage. Both diligently crash tested their chins in close quarters. And with each round, the tensions kept rising. In the 7th stretch, Evander knocked out Michael's mouthpiece. He embraced an old-school brawl on his own terms. Dokes not only weathered the odds, but fought back vigorously in the round that after endless back-and-forth action. In the 10th, Holyfield finally caught the enemy slipping.
It's got to be Holyfield.
And eventually sealed the deal. Dating the incoming 2, Evander thumped the big basket and an uppercut right to the button. Like a true tight-lipped, Dokes tried to bite back, feeling dry.
You see him? He's going.
Holyfield proved that he could handle elite heavyweights. Half of 1989's Fight of the Year. He was classy as usual and didn't call out the champion, but the manager, Ken Sanders, did the job on the mic on his behalf.
Evander Holyfield is the best heavyweight in the world. Why not? The only reason he's not champion is because Mike Tyson hadn't fought him. We want to fight Mike Tyson as soon as possible, winner take all. $25 million, whatever it is, or more.
No matter how hard Evander struggled to secure the title shot, Tyson's manager, King, was not willing to put his biggest asset at risk. And so, Holyfield continued to expand his resume. Brazil's best heavyweight, Alisson Rodriguez, with a 35-2 record, received walking orders inside 2 rounds. A picture overhand sent Rodriguez on a hitchhiking across the gallery. 5 months later, the real deal showed the unbeaten Alex Stewart. And here we go. Holyfield controls the center.
Good work with the left hand, centering away. I think it's safe to say that he has settled into whatever offense he's going to get, but Holyfield is nailing him as a result of Stewart opening up.
Despite getting clearly outclassed, Stewart tried his best not to fall behind.
Stewart trying to bounce back to it.
After playing around in the 6th round, Evander upped the tempo.
1. As Stewart tires a bit, his defenses wither. And here comes Holyfield with the left hook and the uppercut.
Cutting Stewart's face open, necessitating the doctor's intervention.
And here comes Tony Perez. This is over. In New Jersey.
Up next was the ambitious prospect, Seamus McDonough, with his brave promise to shock the world. Holyfield felt like he was in a sparring session, bombarding the Irishman from both hands. The classic pull counter worked wonders. Frustrated, McDonough went all in and lost big time. Holyfield easily ate the cross and won the duel of left hooks.
Holyfield, the hard punches have got James rocking, but he's fighting back.
In the heavyweight division, Evander finally got his hands on Mike Tyson.
Yes, I feel that I am ready for Mike Tyson.
You know, by no means, he's a great fighter, but I don't think anyone can beat me.
The highly anticipated scrap was scheduled for the summer of 1990. But first, 23-year-old, the baddest man on the planet, had to pass a layup against Buster Douglas, an unremarkable contender who came in as an overwhelming underdog at 42-1. Holyfield witnessed the biggest upset in boxing history, firsthand from the front row.
Today's biggest loser, Evander Holyfield, a man who had a contract to fight Mike Tyson.
So it may very well be that you're going to wind up against Douglas, and I assume that's what you're hoping.
I very much hope so. My goal is to be heavyweight champion, like I said. I have to prepare myself to fight Douglas. That's the man that I have to fight.
On October 25th, 1990, Evander was bouncing in and out.
Douglas has a terrific jab, but see Holyfield?
Dropped bombs to all levels.
Final seconds, round 1.
Landed spearing jabs.
Side because they don't want Douglas to
and pressed forward relentlessly.
gain Buster's jab at this point.
Making the champion look out of his depth. As early as the 3rd round, Douglas realized that he had no chance of winning the chess match. Charged in with a last resort assault. Gorgeously slipping a wicked uppercut off a jab face, Holyfield cracked Buster's unprotected chin with a single shot. On that night, he claimed all 3 wins, becoming the first ever undisputed champion in the world. As it turned out, no one would replicate this unique accomplishment in the Triple Belt era.
Well, actually, I just thank God that I got through that, and I'm just gonna go back and enjoy, to have that positive attitude, because a lot of people felt that I couldn't do it because I was a small man. So with this, display to the kids that if you work hard and train hard and work at anything, you can be successful.
The heavyweight straps made 28-year-old Holyfield a global star. A grand parade took place in his hometown of Atlanta. Thousands of local residents celebrated their patriotism.
People of Texas hereby proclaim the month of November 1980 Evander Holyfield Month in Atlanta in appreciation of his contributions to our country.
Now, Burger King, and a series of popular television shows. Among other things, Holyfield had his own video game, which received wide acclaim among Sega fans. However,
that game for Sega Genesis.
Long. In the
That was
spring
my
of
favorite game.
1991, he collided with a living legend, a 42-year-old George Foreman, who, following his return to the ring, was victorious in 24 consecutive bouts. Holyfield maneuvered around and stopped, exposing Foreman's signature cross-arm guard. The veteran plodded forward, flinging wrecking balls in his usual way. In the first round, the champion clocked him with a hook and went down an avalanche. Big Georgia has seen much less, allowing him to respond when necessary. Employ the crossbar, and then try to at least shake the process. In the ninth round, he found success. Another patented pole and a missile of a counter right. And yet the iconic figures of the 70s were cut from a different cloth.
George Foreman tries to stand up and make it to the end.
So